In this universe,
in this galaxy,
in this world,
beneath the influencer clouds,
over the viral video fields,
off the information superhighway,
there are voices in the digital wilderness, whispering
more opinions.
If you listen,
you will hear.
Welcome to the last episode of 2024 of Alex and the Garbage Man, with 100% less garbage and 100% more Frank. Because Frank is not on his own show right now, he is not restricted to one topic and not tethered to one theme or idea. He is completely free to say and do whatever he wants. And now, with his newfound online freedom, I present to you, the audience, Frank.
Hi, everybody. I can't do it like Nick does. Well, honestly, Nick, really, it's the last show of the year and you couldn't finish strong. You had to wimp out for the last show. You had to duck it. That's okay, though. I hear I'm representing in your stead because you are my good friend. I will be your second. I will be your lieutenant to finish this thing up with Alex. But hey, everybody, how's it going? Yeah, it's Mexican Nick. I play in the garbage.
And of course, we can't forget our good friend from Oklahoma. I suppose I should do the old pimping of his channel. There is one thing I saw that was somewhat interesting, so I will bring that up momentarily. Casey and Tex, thank you both for being here, and I hope you both had a good Christmas. Although I looked on one of the comments from one of Casey's recent videos, and did you know, according to, I think it's AJ Raider, Casey is Jewish? I don't know if it's true, but it's something I heard on the internet, so therefore it must be true.
My quick wit had formulated a joke that I will not say.
Oh, no.
Even on my channel, I might have been like, no, I'm going to save that for the private chats later on.
So happening on Casey's channel at this point, TurboGrafx 16, great. Atari Jaguar, react to Review Tech USA streams. It's a good 10-minute video, and it's mostly an indirect reaction because he was reacting to someone else who had mentioned Casey's channel. But this is the one, the Christmas is Raw intro music video, which is updated. The comment that I found about Casey being Jewish is in there. So I cite my sources. So that is the whoring for Casey segment done and dusted. Oh, wait, Ginger, don't go yet.
See, when we start talking about Casey, is usually when everybody wants to run away. See, Casey, see what you do to us?
I understand now. No, Ginger, I hope you haven't gone yet, because there's one video that I wanted to share specifically in your honor. As you know, Ginger is a beautiful woman from across the pond, and she has quite the fan base, and here is one of those fans.
Got a sexy joke for you. I like your class, so I like your style, I like your class, but most of all, I like your ass. Ding dong! Way! Oh yeah! Yeah, baby. Cool. Hello. Ding dong.
That is from one Stephen Dawson, who is not too far away from you, Ginger. So I echo his sentiments. Ding dong, and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, Ginger, I hope you got to get an alarm system for Christmas.
How much does private security cost for people on your side of the pond, I wonder?
It's worth it. Worth every dollar after watching that video.
So you had a good Christmas, I assume. Are you one of those guys who you don't really go with the extravagant shopping anymore, the lavish gifts, maybe a gift card, and there you go, we've done our bit for the year?
I'm pretty fortunate that all of my kids and my stepdaughter included are kind of to that age where they want money rather than gifts. I mean, I bought my boys both new Niners jerseys this year, and my daughter, she just likes art stuff, paints, things like that, coloring books, paints, brushes. The accoutrement that comes along with all that is easy. My stepdaughter, this beauty place that's not too far away, Ultra Beauty or whatever it is, a gift card to there. Take her there on a Saturday, let her buy a few things, and she's perfectly satisfied. So yeah, I'm lucky that I've survived late enough into parenthood that I've gotten to the point where my kids have gotten easy. As far as Christmas is concerned, I was glad it's over. I can't stand the holiday season. I think it's terrible. Even when I was a kid, I just kind of wanted to get past it. I was like, great, let me unwrap my gifts so I can go on my day. And so, thank God. This is the first year though in a long time we didn't even put up a Christmas tree this year. We were just so busy doing stuff that because we don't do anything at our house. It always happens at either my brother's house or at Jennifer's brother's house. So we were just like, why even bother? We're just going to take all the gifts over there. The kids are going to open them. So we're just going to we're not going to rearrange our entire lives, our entire house for, 3 or 4 weeks of having a tree in the living room. So whatever. But we're probably getting a bigger house here soon. So we'll probably go back to doing all the standard Christmas stuff next year. But for this year, we just kind of took the year off.
Huh. And a shout out to Stuart McQuaid, one of our newer subscribers. He came over here from The Harsh Truth because of the Die Hard 2 review, which was the most recent review on Harsh Truth. Again, 800 plus views, so great.
Stuart's a good guy. I have some posters right here that I'm going to go get an envelope for tomorrow so that I can send them down to old Australia, the land down under, so we can have some decorations for his crib.
Nice. And I can't remember if you mentioned it on that show, but General Esperanza in Die Hard 2 was played by Italian actor Franco Nero. And I watched him in a movie today called The Fifth Chord. It's an Italian giallo from the 1970s. I've been getting a lot more into Italian giallos. They're not really great movies, but you watch enough of them, you get a feel for how to make a movie. Some of the cinematography is really, really good, and just basic stuff, but it's always that English voiceover that cheapens the view just a little bit.
If you enjoy any movie, it's a great movie. Movies are like art. All art is subjective. You either like it or you don't. Some people, I look at a painting and I'm just like, I get it. I get why Starry Night's important. I get why it's a big deal. I don't feel emotional about it the way that people I know who are actual artists who paint and do that kind of thing, they get emotional looking at it. They get something significant. So art is subjective. If you like a thing, like that thing, love that thing, go for it. Feel that kind of love for something. That's the important part.
All right. Yeah. You're right. It doesn't have to be this highbrow, debate or in-depth discussion. But hey, if you're looking for that, linked in the description below, The Harsh Truth, The Night Watch Zone, and The American Werewolf.
Unless you're one of those people that thinks The Room is a good movie. Yeah, I don't want to hear your nonsense. That movie is just awful. I really hate it when people try to sound smart by taking something that literally everybody hates, and they're like, "Well, actually," I'm like, "No, you're done. Your contrarian nonsense has no home here. Go away."
It's fun to laugh at, though. It produced a good movie called The Disaster Artist.
The movie about the movie was more entertaining. That's the fun part.
Nick sent me something recently, and I don't know if you were ever a fan of this back in the day. I didn't discover this until the, let's say, early to mid 1990s, and I will bring it up momentarily because my computer is slow. Not a big horror fan. Not to spoil anything, Frank's going to go in depth on that next week. I really liked it, except for maybe one or two things. So I'll leave it at that.
I have a few nitpicks, but overall, I think it was solid. You know what? You know what I want to see? I want video of this, Casey. I want to see you really like lean into a throw. Like I want you to come off that back foot hard. I want to see your form. That's what I want to see. So I want you to go find a baseball or tennis ball, find a rock, and just go into your backyard or any place where you won't hurt anybody or any animals, and have somebody record you just really leaning into one. That's what I want you to do.
Yeah, if you can lift your knee up to about mid gut level, we'll all be very, very impressed. It opens here next week. Oh, that's true. Some release dates for movies are different depending on the country, which is kind of strange, but oh well. This is what I wanted to share with the class. Jolt Cola is coming back.
Ooh.
Again, I didn't know that until about 1993 or 4 with this, because we got a 7-Eleven in our small town in I think it was the late 80s, very early 90s. So that's when I discovered Jolt Cola. And I had no idea about this. Around 70 milligrams in a 12-ounce can in 1985. It's going to go up to 200 milligrams when it comes back. Bro, I eat 200 milligrams of caffeine for breakfast. Come on. But this little bit is very important wherever the hell it went. More than 400 milligrams of caffeine daily is considered excessive for most adults. Now, if you're someone like Tex who's impervious to pretty much everything, then 400 milligrams ain't nothing. But for us mere mortals, you want to be somewhat cognizant of what you're drinking and how much of it you are drinking. If I mentioned this in the past, if you go on Amazon, you can find coffee that has in excess of 10,000 milligrams of caffeine. So if you like coffee and you want to die, you go to Amazon. So
I remember Jolt Cola from when I was a teenager. I'm remembering like in the late 80s, early 90s when I was in junior high. And I remember back then thinking that it just tasted off. Like, yeah, I got the caffeine and all that, but it was so sugary and so much caffeine that it made it taste weird. My concern now would be the fact that as I'm pushing 50, the caffeine has a different effect on me now. So it's like a couple of months ago, I had taken one of those 5-hour energies because I was kind of tired. And I did not feel right all day. All day long, I could feel my heart. And I was like, if I have a heart attack right now, I am totally suing this company because I feel like it's that stuff that did it. That's why I don't do any of those things. Like Red Bull, all that stuff, never do it. I would rather work the day tired than to fill myself full of the bad stuff that I know are in there. Because I've heard all the stuff about Red Bull and long-term, whatever, what it does to your body. I'm just like, I would rather just drink like a Pepsi, get a little bit of caffeine and sugar that way, get me through the day. So I know it's good. I know I'm crashing once I get home, which doesn't matter because I'm at home. So who cares? But yeah, I mean, nowadays I'm afraid to go after that much caffeine in one can of soda. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you a coffee drinker?
No, I have never really been
you.
bit on coffee. My dad used to drink coffee a lot. I was always more of a tea drinker than anything else, but even then, I just kind of, which it has its own bits of, bit of caffeine in it. But even now, I've tried to avoid some of that stuff just because as I get old, I'm not reacting the same way. Well, I need a jolt so that my body will work for like an hour at a time. After that, I just don't care. I'm planning my days around the fact that I don't have the energy that I once had when I was 20. So
yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a coffee drinker up until about the age of 35, and because my girlfriend she loves coffee, I decided to myself, well, let's give it a try, and then I got hooked. And last week, because I didn't have to go to my job or the gym, I went without coffee for 4 days. Luckily, I did not get the headache that usually is associated with lack of caffeine intake. So I was okay. Then I had it on Friday. I didn't get the jolt and the buzz that I usually get from it. So maybe it's the acclimatization. I'm not sure. Hey, Corey, it's been a while.
Yeah, usually, because I've been trying to like drink less soda lately. I try to drink less soda periodically. I get to the point where I'm all in drinking a soda and I recognize it. And I'm like, okay, I need to start drinking more Gatorade or whatever, water, that kind of thing. But I do notice every now and again that I will get like the caffeine withdrawal headaches. So it's like I'll usually have like my 20-ounce bottle of soda in the morning just to placate myself, just to let my body know that I'm paying attention, and then I'll drink Gatorade or water the rest of the day. But yeah, it's definitely something I need to work on, is drinking a lot less soda. I say as I have one soda sitting next to me and a little bit of scotch here in this cup.
Yeah, I saw the color of it and I thought, it looks like scotch or whiskey.
Yeah, it's not it's not Gatorade. It's not electrolytes. I'll tell you that right now. But
Corey, I hope you're doing well over there on the East Coast. It's like I said, it's been a while. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and your family. I hope your brother Trevor is doing well. All the best. Apple juice, yeah, just like Dean Martin was rumored to have consumed, because he played a great drunk just like Foster Brooks. Man, that was some good comedy back in the day.
Well, what's his name? Ron White. One of his big things about being on stage when he's doing his comedy was drinking his scotch or whatever. Now he's just drinking iced tea. He quit drinking. So,
Wow.
do I get no, I'm not a senior citizen yet. I got 20 years before I'm there. Well, 15, 17, something like that. It's more than 2 years, so I'm okay. I'm not AARP yet. I still get carded, believe it or not, for alcohol. I was just like, I haven't had Coors Light in a while, and that's a good cheap kind of innocent white people beer that I like to drink. Someone bought a case of it, and the guy carded me, and I was like, okay. I know you're only doing it because you have to, but it does make me feel like I'm still a little bit young. There's a little bit of youth left in me. So.
Trying to get a compliment wherever you can.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I haven't been carded in, oh Jesus, I think it was a little bit after I turned 20 might have been the last time, because it's not so important up here, but it does happen from time to time. I hear it happened to my girlfriend a time or two, because she looks younger than I do. Although she and we're the same age, and I look older than her. But then again, not to tell tales out of school, but she dyes her hair, and I can't do that.
Not the hair in your head, anyway. I went home to the summer I turned 18. I went home to California, and I rolled up there and I rolled up to the A.M.P.M. right there close to my relative's house, and got a 6-pack of Budweiser, like a candy bar, and some random things. And this was 94-ish, 95, somewhere in 94, 95. Guy didn't even look up at me. He's just like, he's in there reading a magazine. He looks over, he rings everything up, and says, okay, it'll be like 20 whatever. And I was waiting for him to ask for the ID. I was trying to see if he was going to let me slide. So I just kind of gave him some bills. He gave the money back. Said, all right, see you later. I was like, bye. And at 18, I walked out with a 12-pack of Budweiser from the A.M.P.M. in Santa Cruz. So that was good fun. Good fun.
Nice. I agree. You watch some Foster Brooks clips from the Dean Martin roast, especially the roasts between, I think it was 72 and 75. Just classic, brilliant, excellent comedy. That was some really good comedy. Maybe, yeah, depending on who you talk to, it's probably better comedy than what you would get on Comedy Central nowadays, because they're unimpeded by any kind of censors nowadays. But back then, they had to be really creative in how they said anything.
Casey's my homeboy. He knows it. We give Casey a hard time. I always tell people, it's like, Casey may be an idiot, but he's our idiot. We can mess with him. You mess with him, you're going to catch us. He's our homie, not yours.
Is the best part.
The best part of waking up is when I can get out of bed without something instantly hurting. If I've slept comfortably and nothing's automatically sore the moment my feet hit the floor, then I'm like, okay, it's going to be a good day. That's where I'm at.
You're going to get suspicious one of these days. You're going to wake up and sit up. Okay, nothing's hurting. What's going to go wrong today? If that didn't go wrong, something else absolutely would. If I've ever watched White Chicks, I was an extra in White Chicks. Ugh, terrible movie. Not even with Terry Crews in that movie was it a good movie.
Yeah, it's one of those movies. It's like, I feel like it should be funnier, but I was kind of like, I think that came at a point where like the Wayans brothers shtick was kind of starting to wear off a bit.
Yeah.
It's like the scary movies were okay, but after that, it got a little silly.
Tex, one of our friends, Corey and my mutual friend Dave, he had a job at a gas station, and we would walk in there when there was no one else there, and he would sell us cigarettes, and we were young. It was awesome.
Yeah, a friend of mine used to work at a drive-through a town over, and so what we'd do is we'd roll through there before we turned 21. We'd roll through there, and they had cameras, but all they would have to see is him checking the ID. So we'd roll through there and be like, "Hey, I need a couple 12 packs or whatever," and he'd just check our ID, be like, "All right," and then he would hand us the beer and sell it to us. And as long as it was on video checking ID, at that point nobody cared. But now it's a different story. Damn technology. Ruins everything.
I'm glad you corrected yourself, Tex. Yes, technology, it has its benefits and its drawbacks. I think at this point, it's a little bit more. It's probably 2/3 benefits, 1/3 drawback. But I can't complain. Not really. I get to talk to awesome people like Frank and Tex, and I get to meet people like Stuart and Casey and connect with Corey and other friends. Yeah. Shell. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the shell is gone now, so we're not going to get anyone in trouble by talking about that illegal activity. I did try some American cigarettes, but not in America. In 1997, we went to Greece and Italy on a school-funded trip, and I think it was in Rome, Italy. There was some guy out there on the street, and he was selling a bunch of stuff in one of those trays that he's got hooked up around his neck, and it's kind of like the guy at the baseball game selling hot dogs and popcorn and nuts and that kind of thing. And I looked at the tray and I saw Marlboro cigarettes. I'll give them a try. And they were pretty much on par for the best cigarette I've ever had. The Canadian equivalent being De Maurier. You're welcome. Yeah. Thanks.
You make my life better, Tex. You and all these goofballs, you make my life better.
Too bad your show wasn't on a 5-second delay. That way Tex could say whatever he wants, and then you could just mute the thing as it came up.
If I had to mute him and Jeremy for some of the shit they said, I'd just constantly be hovering over it like...
Now, Tex, I could understand, but Jeremy seems like the more measured one of the two.
He usually is, but every now and again he'll go for it. Like he dropped the F word for gays one time, not being homophobic or anything. It was like a line for a movie or something like that. And even then, I was just like, YouTube doesn't get context. They don't know that we're reciting dialogue from a movie. So I was like, I should really go back and like mute that. I never did. So I don't even remember what video it's on now.
And see, that speaks to the downside, the 1/3 of the technological advancement is that as we do these live streams, I think in the rendering portion after the live stream is done, YouTube will go through it. They'll create a transcript, and the AI will scan the transcript. And anything that's said that gets flagged, doesn't matter what the context is, the video could get taken down or privated or restricted for 18 plus only or what have you. So yeah, pluses and knots. Yeah, I wish I checked into a few more of Derailed's live streams when Casey was on there and just watch everyone go at him then. Oh, so Tex, I imagine you're back from your days of shooting wherever you went in the world.
There are times where it's like he'll start to like come off with a joke or something like that, and he'll say, "Oh well, maybe I shouldn't say that." And I'm like, if that's too much for Tex, then wow, it must have been a banger if it was too much for Tex to want to say out loud.
There it is. We got the word banger. But speaking of something that isn't a banger, rest in peace to Jimmy Carter, who lived way longer than the average North American. One of my friends posted that at least he won't have to live through another Trump presidency. Ooh.
Yeah, politics aside, just running for president. I put this on Twitter, just running for president is a grueling process that has broken some men. So just even trying to get this job is insane. I mean, look at Trump. That guy got shot at. just applying for the job got this guy shot at. And it's like, so to actually go through the process and to be the president for 4 years, look, you've seen the before and after photos. I mean, it's like even Obama, being a young, good-looking guy, he walked out of that after 8 years looking pretty haggard. Like and this is a healthy, good-looking guy. And by the time he left, the sags in his face, the gray hair, the wrinkles, I mean, the guy just looked beat to hell. And he was one of the guys that was probably better physically conditioned to do the job than anybody else since Kennedy. And he looked like he got his ass whooped. So to go, I mean, so just to do it for 4 years and deal with some of the things that were going on politically, like, you know, all the stuff in the Middle East and the energy crisis here at home and some of that stuff, it's like just living through that and maintaining the good soul that is very clear that he had. I mean, because like I said, politics aside, the guy built Habitat for Humanity is like one of the greatest charitable institutions that's ever been created, in my opinion. And the guy was out there deep into his 80s. Almost, I mean, I think right around 90, he was still out there. There was just showing video of him yesterday of him out there in a definitely much older state than he ever really had been, with a tape measure and a nail gun and doing some work at 90. And I'm like, that guy that's a high level of class. So, I mean, you can knock the politics and stuff like that in that arena, but do not shit on that guy for being a good human being. I don't think there's any way you can ever do that and have a good argument as to why you're doing it. That's props to that guy. Living to be 100 in of itself is kind of that's a pretty big deal these days. I mean, even with today's medical technology, I mean, what's life expectancy anymore? Like 75, something like that. If you get to be right about that age, you're doing pretty good. You get into your 80s, you're beating the curve by a lot. You get into your hundreds, you're doing something. You're doing a lot of something right. So, I mean, props to Jimmy Carter for everything he did. And on behalf of this moderate conservative, thank you for serving the country the way you did for so many years.
Yeah, and I think speaking to the age that he lived to, Habitat for Humanity at the age of 80, I think that speaks at least in part to keeping active when you're old. If you're 75, 80 and you're sitting on the couch, you're not doing much, yeah, you're going to waste away. So as long as you keep yourself active physically and mentally, you should do well. But then again, there's another component to that. Well, there might be two components. Genetics plays a part, and what you did in your life up to that point. Were you a smoker? Were you a drinker? Did you do drugs? Did you exercise at all? Were you in a sawmill for 30 years, filling your lungs with God knows what's in the atmosphere there? Were you in a coal mine? Or were you at a desk for 8 hours a day for 30 years? So there's a balance to be had when it comes to activity. I myself, I like to be extremely lazy, but I also like to go to the gym. And at this point, I'm doing it 3 days a week. So there's a balance between being extremely productive and extremely lazy. So maybe there's some kind of winning formula in there that we just haven't found yet. But we're living experiments. So maybe in 100 years, if society is still around, maybe we'll find out what that secret or answer is. Oh, nice. Oh, but Casey, with the amount of video games you play and how much that affects the brain, I don't think you'll live to see 2025.
I don't know. There's not that much time left, so you better start eating some salads, doing some chin-ups, homie.
The adrenal. Oh, here we go. Oh, God.
Maybe.
Now, I didn't do any research whatsoever into this, so Tex is going to jump on me. But if I remember correctly, the very first mention of adrenochrome in absolutely anything was from gonzo journalist. God damn it, his name escapes me now. This is what happens when you watch too many movies. Johnny Depp played him in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah, God, I'm drawing a blank on his name too. Hunter S. Thompson.
Yes. Yep. Before that, I don't know that adrenochrome was a thing.
But you know what, though? They say that the leading cause of death among people 65 and older is retirement. Because there's this, as long as you have a purpose, your body will will itself to go longer. So when people retire at 65, their body starts to, their mind and their body starts to get together and say, what are we still going for? We're not working. So the people that actually stay employed or stay active or have a purpose, whether it be charitable work or whatever, those are the people that tend to live a little bit later in life because their will pushes them a little farther.
A good friend of mine, her grandmother, she is 90, I think it's 92 this year. And every summer she does a lot of gardening, but she also drinks, I think it's beer and Clamato at 92. Jesus.
Yeah, whenever I see one of these articles or interviews with somebody who hits like 101, 102, it's usually the older ladies. They'll be like, what's your secret? She goes, a glass of whiskey with lunch and a glass of whiskey with dinner. She's like, I eat right. You know, I try to be active and a little bit of whiskey here and there. Keep the body strong. So
I think it was, there was a comedian. I'm going to have to look him up momentarily because he had a good bit about age. Yeah, his name is not coming to mind, but that's why I have a computer. He was on The Daily Show quite a bit. Older guy with glasses, dark hair, Lewis Black. So,
okay.
Lewis Black had a bit in, I think, Luther Burbank Performing Arts Center Blues, that stand-up, which was a great stand-up set, that the oldest living guy in, I think it was New York, was 107 or 108, and they asked him what his diet was, and it was back bacon, like a lot of back bacon every week, and a gallon of Thunderbird wine. I've never had Thunderbird wine, but that seems, I don't know, it seems pretty counterproductive as to what we should be eating and drinking at that age. But I know a guy who's in his early 90s and he drinks wine every day. He stands, he drives, he walks, he's mentally clear, he has conversations, he does not forget what he's talking about. So what do we really know at this point about longevity? I think it just, again, it speaks to keeping active, no matter if it's something big like Habitat for Humanity or something small like gardening, as long as you're doing something. Now, when you're on the job, you're constantly thinking. When you retire, you realize you don't have to do that anymore, but it helps. That's why I recommended not too long ago math games. Turbo 21 on pogo.com is something that I play quite often because you got to come up with combinations of 21 as fast as you can. It's great exercise. Math is great exercise for the brain.
It is. Maybe the fact that I was so good at math in high school means I'll live a little bit longer.
Oh, so 76.
I got that going for me. Hey, better than 75. That's all I'm saying.
And shout out to Nick's mom, Susan, who liked us on Facebook. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well.
Hi, Susan.
Thunderbird wine is big down. Now, is that I imagine that's a red wine, not a white.
Well, wine is high in antioxidants and stuff like that too. So,
yeah. How far away is Ohio from the great state of New Jersey?
13-hour drive, I think.
You ever been there?
New Jersey, no.
Is it because you don't want to go there?
I've had enough gunfights in my life. I'm good now. Yeah.
Wow.
But I want to go. It's honestly the farthest east I've been is probably here. I mean, Mississippi, where my relatives live. Yeah, that's just Cleveland. Yeah, kind of. This is probably the farthest east I've been. I think I told you before, we were supposed to go to New York when some bat in Wuhan coughed and all hell broke loose. So that so that trip got blown up almost as soon as I finished planning it. But yeah, I want to go east. My girlfriend lived in Florida for a while, so I mean, I wouldn't mind going to Florida, check out like Kennedy Space Center and stuff like that. Maybe hit the Keys, that kind of thing. Try to look across the bay, see Cuba. I think that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I've wanted to go east for a little while, do some things. Actually, a buddy of mine and I, before we had kids, had planned on doing like an East Coast baseball swing. We were going to go up north, hit Boston, and then go south, hit at the time Shea Stadium and Old Yankee Stadium when they were still up, and then we're going to cruise down to I think one of the stadiums in Florida. I think they had just opened Tropicana that year. So we were just like, let's just go take like 2 weeks. We'll just get a car, we'll drive to one, get tickets, drive to another, get tickets, drive to another, get tickets, and we'll just do this while we saw it. And we were going to see the Baseball Hall of Fame somewhere in New York on the way. And then we had kids, and that kind of screwed everything up. So
yeah, them damn kids.
And kids.
The reason I bring this up, you had mentioned, I think it was last week, or maybe it was on one of your movie reviews, about the recent air debacle happening in the state of New Jersey. So I found a guide to aircraft ID, and I would like to share it with everyone now. This is how you identify aircraft in New Jersey.
Pretty much.
It's all very straightforward, except for the one in the bottom right corner, the Iranian mothership. Has anyone actually ever seen that? I'm not talking about Photoshops or AI generated images, the actual thing.
That Iranian mothership looks like an outline of the plane that Indiana Jones was flying in one of his movies. Some 1929 prop driven piece of crap. It's basically an aluminum frame. If it lands too hard, it's just going to fall apart. They also forgot to put bumblebees and mosquitoes on here. I think that would have made it funnier. It's a drone.
Should have a kite on there too.
Especially considering it's a funnier story now, considering that we know now what we know is they were probably American anyway, and that it wasn't that big of a deal, and they still have no idea why they were in the air at all. But
yeah.
I could go to Oklahoma, Casey. I've got relatives there. My U.S. Marine cousin who has shot at people before. He lives right there in OKC. So, I mean, you never know.
Mason-Dixon, where is that? Is that... Oh, my American geography is terrible. I have no idea.
Either.
North of Texas. I'll just say that.
Like anything north of Texas. The Mason-Dixon line. Where is it? It's basically the northern border of Maryland. The border between Maryland and Pennsylvania is the Mason-Dixon line.
Oh, wow.
That's actually pretty far north.
Yeah, I thought it would have been like right about the middle of the vertical line of the country. Oh, well, my girlfriend wants to go back to Florida. She's been there once. She went to Miami. And considering what I've seen with regards to Miami and Florida, man, I never want to set foot in the state of Florida. Well, yeah, I remember you talking about that last time, Tex.
You are going to be Florida man. The Florida man stories while you're there are going to be abundant, and they are going to be awesome.
Bigfoot spotted in Florida.
No, it's not that the cameras weren't working. It's that they hadn't gone digital yet. There is actually other footage of the plane going to the Pentagon, but it's not very good. I've seen it.
Oh, shit, that's interesting. I thought that would have blown up online. I've only seen those 5 frames.
It doesn't. One of them that I remember is from a hotel that is near the Pentagon, and it's just like their basic security camera that's looking out kind of across the way, and you can see the plane coming in, and then it goes out of view. So it doesn't show the impact. It doesn't show much of anything, but it's significant, and it was looked at by the 9/11 Commission because there is not usually air traffic in that area. So an airplane that low and that trajectory was not normal as it was. So
I could just imagine, because you've mentioned this before, the yelling match that you and Tex had regarding that whole situation. I want to find it and watch it one day.
Yeah, me and Aaron actually did like a whole 9/11 conspiracy theory debate probably 5 years ago or something like that. It's been a while. it's been a minute. It's been maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It's been a minute. It's on the channel somewhere if you guys want to go dig it up. But yeah, he wasn't prepared. I had him dead to rights. He wasn't prepared. But yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, we know what we're ever going to know about that. So whatever.
Yeah, anything that would have been a mystery at that time, that's, I would think, all done and dusted by now. It's been over 20 years.
I mean, think of it this way: how long has it been since Kennedy's been killed? And
63,
so it's been
61 years.
40, 60s, yeah, 60 some years. So yeah, we still don't have those answers yet. And there's really no reason why we shouldn't, because I've heard people say, well, it's because people are still alive that were involved. And I'm like, let's say for a minute that a 20-year-old was involved in this in 1963. That would make him 80 something years old now if he's still alive. It's like, just release all the files. Don't prosecute anybody. It's way too late for any of that to do any good. Just let the truth come out at least. But that's never going to happen. So
yeah. But then again, in this day and age, if they released all that information and people's names were not redacted, there's going to be people out there who are going to travel from one end of the country to the other to go assault a 90-year-old man. I guarantee you that would be the case.
Probably, yeah. So I mean, you could just say that we're releasing because everybody's dead now. Don't look these names up. Don't look up this John Smith guy. He's been dead for a long time now. Don't look him up. Or you just call everybody Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith A or Mr. Smith B, whatever. I don't know.
I might as well bring this up. Jesus. There are people online who will do absolutely anything for views, and I will give you an example of this right about now.
Comment still.
Okay, so a little bit of context on that. He watched a few Casey Raw videos. No, actually,
that'll do it.
His name on his YouTube channel is Normie, Norme, and that was from a video where he put himself in voluntary solitary confinement for 1 month with no light. And he did this as anyone would for views. And I will share his channel just because why not? Who's it going to hurt at this point? AI controls my life for 50 hours. Longest time on the toilet world record. 1 month in solitary confinement. On and on. It's like 10 and 12-hour live streams.
What's more mind-boggling, the most mind-boggling thing about this is that video's got almost 80,000 views. Now, granted, that doesn't necessarily mean that 79, 80,000 people watched all 11 plus hours, but I mean, it's like, come on. It's like, God, I love what YouTube can be. It can be a place of great information. I can go watch somebody, how they field strip their weapon to get different ideas how I can clean my gun more efficiently or something. I can watch how to repair some plumbing in my house so I can do it myself. I can learn something. Then there's this. It's like, I'm going to lock myself in a basement for an extended period of time. Then I'm going to act like an asshole, even though off camera, my girlfriend's sliding me a cheeseburger every couple hours and give me balls of water and just take my little pee bottle away for me. It's all going to be phony. Whatever. I mean, people need to learn how to use the internet morally. I was going to say effectively, but I'd say morally, because so many people, like the prank videos, my God, Have you seen some of these prank videos? Did you see the one of the guy that got a gun pulled on him? He had a gas can. This is a couple years old. You may have seen it. He had a gas can, a red gas can that was full of water. And he was in a parking lot of a random grocery store. And if someone would go take a couple of bags of groceries, put them in the car, and get into the car to leave, he would walk up, pour the water all over the hood of their car, and then light a lighter and be like, "I'm gonna let your car on fire, let your car on fire," and the person would freak out. Now, if everybody's in on the gag, including the person, I'm gonna say, okay, you're acting a skit. I'll allow that to happen. They did this apparently in Texas neck of the woods, which is my guess. I don't know exactly where this happened. They do this, and it's an older guy, probably 50s, who has seen a little bit of the world. He's been around the block. This guy draws a gun and has him looking down the working end of a 45. And immediately this kid he turns into the biggest bitch in the world. "Oh, no, I'm sorry, mister. I'm sorry. It's just a joke." And he was like, "Dude, what is wrong with you?" He's like, "You were going to die just then." He said, "If you would have moved that lighter to my car, I would have shot you 3 times in the chest." He's like, "You were going to die for this." He's like, "Is this really worth it for you? You don't know who you're playing this joke on." And there's the internet. God, the channel that I hate. God, I hate even thinking about this channel, but it was on somebody like him was on an episode of 911 recently. Have you ever heard of this channel, Cartnarks?
Yes.
Okay, I want to find that person and chop his fucking toes off. It's like doing something for views, whatever. I mean, it's just don't be obnoxious. If I'm walking through the grocery store parking lot and if I don't put my cart where you think it should go and you start hassling me, dude, I don't care. I'm going to leave you on the ground questioning your life choices. Whether you're going to be alive long enough to do it, it's going to be up to you how much you want to fight back. But I mean, you absolutely deserve it. And in this show, that's exactly what happened to this kid. Was he crossed someone's path the wrong way and they beat his ass and left him behind the store for dead. And that was the big police case for the movie or for the TV for that episode of the show. But I was looking at it and I'm like, I have no problem with this. I was like, I know the guy did wrong. He assaulted the guy. But in reality, I'm like, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So, I mean, don't act like an obnoxious asshole because eventually you're going to find somebody who's like, I'll go to jail for a month to punch this guy in the neck. It's totally worth it. We had nothing going on in my life. Whatever. Come here. Let me show you why you made a bad decision here, kid.
Yep. Prank videos, they got a lot of views prior to the adpocalypse on YouTube. So pre-2016, if you made a good prank video, you got a lot of views, you got a lot of ad revenue. That is one of the reasons that people would do just all kinds of stupid stuff and post it to YouTube because of financial incentive. But that's been a bit more reined in, but people are still doing stupid stuff.
YouTube needs to demonetize those channels because you're instigating people. You're oftentimes putting people in dangerous situations, even though you may not think it, even though it may not be life threatening, but you're oftentimes putting people in dangerous situations. I mean, like this kid with the gas can prank that he played. It's like he could have got him and his friend shot. It's like, so you would have been just responsible for you getting clipped. You'd have been responsible for your friend catching a bullet. And yeah, the other guy would have been legally responsible. But let's face it, you were the first link in the chain that led to this terrible thing. So, I mean, acting like an a-hole, that's what you're going to get. Because it's getting more and more people that are just frustrated with the way that the younger generation especially is acting because they want to be influencers and not legitimate parts of society. Like that guy who shot the protesters that were glued to the road a couple of years ago. I don't know if you remember this or not, but like it wasn't in the U.S. I think it may have been either in South America or in Europe. I forget. Let me see if I can find out who it was. But that guy, it was all on video. They were recording all this stuff, and you could see the look on the guy's face as he pulls the gun. It wasn't a look of anger or hatred. He was exhausted. And this was a guy that was probably in his around 60, 65, maybe at the oldest. He was just tired. Let me see if I can at least get an article. This is the guy. Daily Mail. I'll put this article in the chat real quick. So that way, actually, I'll just send it right to you since I don't have the chat open right now. But yeah, I mean, there's the picture in the article of the guy, and you can see his face. He doesn't look angry. He doesn't look mad. He doesn't even look frustrated. He just looks exhausted. He's tired of people acting like this. There you go. I just sent you the article. Yeah, 77-year-old man. And yeah, these people all threw logs and were like chained in the middle of the road or whatever. I forget exactly where this happened. Let me look again real quick. This happened in Panama. But yeah, it's just the look on this guy's face. He's just tired of all these kids acting like absolute babies. There's so many better ways to make a difference. It's like I was talking to some friends a couple weeks ago. There were some drinks, and they were talking about what you can actually do to affect change. And people were like, "You got to vote. You got to do all this." I looked at them. I was like, "I'm going to go one step farther. You got to run for an office. Don't just vote. Run for an office. Be a part of the argument. Put it out there what you're thinking, and see how many people that resonates with. That's how you change things. You don't just vote. You got to run. You got to put your face out there. You got to put yourself out there. That's the way to do it nowadays." But yeah, I mean, but this guy, I mean, I felt bad for him. I mean, yeah, he did the wrong thing. I'm not going to tell you he didn't. But everybody's got a breaking point. You know what I mean? And our generation is getting tired of these 14-year-old kids who are throwing cans of soup on priceless works of art. What does it accomplish? Do you really, you know what that does? They're going to make more oil-based paints for somebody to replace that work of art. So guess what? That's more petroleum they're pulling out of the ground, kids. You're perpetuating the cycle. Come on. Your temper tantrums don't do any good.
Yeah, but that's how a lot of people react in this day and age, is emotionally rather than thinking before they say and do something. And speaking of which, hi, Dad. Thank you for the great advice. Yeah, but it's always the overreaction, the over dramatization, the exaggeration. That's what gets the clicks, the attention, the headlines, the leading news stories. It's silly, and in a rational world, it shouldn't be done that way, and we wouldn't do it that way. But we don't live in a rational world. We live in this world. All we can really do is keep doing what we think is the right thing, and let everyone else, especially those who are activists and glue their hands to the road or throw throw soup on paintings, let them do their stupid stuff. And we just turn a blind eye to it as much as we can. Don't give them the attention. And maybe when they realize that they're not getting the attention they desire, they will think of something smarter and better and more effective. Like you said, they will join the conversation by running for office, by becoming legislators, by thinking through the thought process that leads to, I want to do this because I want to affect change, instead of reacting emotionally, which you could do in a split second. But to take the time to write a bill once you get elected, or you get the job of being a legislator, to parse it out bit by bit and then sign your name to it, that it takes a whole lot more time that a lot of people are not willing to devote to anything. Just throw the can of soup and be on your way. Nah, you got to put more time into it than that.
And the political process itself even is such a train wreck anymore. I mean, once you get to like the national level, you're like, in the Congress or the Senate here in the States, and I don't know the equivalency up in Canada, but it's like there's so many wheeling and dealing, so many people who want to hold on to their position of power, so they're willing to sell out their morals. It really is one of those jobs where you get into it when you're like 25 or 30 or 35, and you're like, I'm going to do it the right way. I'm not going to sell my soul for whatever. And then you make that you bend that one little, moral just because you think it's for the greater good. So you're like, I'll bend on this one. Then you bend on the next one. Then you give up on the next one. Next thing you know, you're just absorbed by the system, and you feel like you're doing the right thing, even though you're not.
Yeah, and no doubt that there are a few movies that dive into that. You had mentioned a great movie that I had seen years ago from the year 2000 called The Contender. I'm not sure if that
Great
fits into
movie.
what you're saying, but I think it runs somewhere along those lines where, yeah, you a person who's running, they have to wheel and deal, and that is unfortunate when you start out with a good heart, you want to do the right thing, but you get caught up in playing the game. There's when it's put in movie format, you can really show people how it goes wrong despite a person's best intentions. And the more stories we can put on the screen like that, or even just write about, even if it's fiction, then perhaps that will be a warning sign to future generations that, hey, stuff has gone wrong all this time. We can change it. You just have to keep on the path that you set out to go down. People don't want to take the time anymore. I think that has something to do with it.
Well, it's time. Everything feels so urgent nowadays. I was watching an episode of The West Wing a while back. It's one of my comfort shows. I just watch it in the background because I know I'm going to like it. And one of the characters was talking about, we need to make this our main priority. And the other character goes, "We got 27 other number one priorities." He's like, "How do you give equal time to all these things and do all the other things that need to be done over the course of a day?" And it's true. That's what the whole system is. That's why I'm for smaller government. It takes a lot off their own plate.
Hey, Trish, geez, there you are. I've been shouting you out at the end of every show for quite some time now. Very nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Frank, Trish is one of my very, very good friends from years past, from all the way back in high school. I'm thinking 1996 or 5. I think it was 95. Yeah, I'm going to say 1995. So, yeah.
Hello, Trish.
Yeah. Oh, look who chimes into his own show.
He's got to remind us that Casey sucks. Tex went in earlier and took Dr. Nick's spot and said Casey puts video games in his bums. You're well covered here, Nick. You're covered. So go make yourself super famous, and we'll see you next week.
1995, yeah, man, that's going to be 30 years ago. Pretty soon. 30 years. You saw the movie The Insider, directed by Michael Mann.
Yes.
Christopher Plummer, late great Canadian actor Christopher Plummer, he had a great line, well, his character did, with regards to people remember you more for what you did near the end of your life than at the beginning. And there is some truth to that. Although I have seen people post about Jimmy Carter's many accomplishments over the years. I wanted to bring up how time has passed for you, Frank, and if you have vivid memories of what life was like for you in high school, in your 20s, and looking back on it now, what would you do different? Because that we could have that fantasy discussion all day, but has time passed really fast for you since about the age of 30?
Oh, yeah. I read something a while back that said when you're young, time passes slow, and as you get older, time starts to pass faster. I think a lot of that just is because your situation changes. Like being in school is different than having a 9-to-5 job. You're when you're young, you don't really have a schedule. I mean, even with going to school from whenever until 2 or 3 in the afternoon or whatever, your time is pretty much yours. So you can do with it what you will, even after you get your part-time job. Most of your time is done at your leisure more than anything else. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in not having regrets, because I look at myself right now and I think I'm an okay person. Am I perfect? No. Have I always done the right thing? No. But I think I'm a decent person. So would I change anything that got me to this decent person? It's hard to say, because I mean, I could go back in time and change something, redo something that might affect the person I am now. I might that thing that would have been good back then may have turned me into a prick now. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like we are the sum of our experiences, good or bad. And you notice that because some people deal with very bad things when they're young and they grow up to be good people, to help other people, to try to get them out of the things that they dealt with. You have some people that grew up with a silver spoon in their ass, and yet they have it all going for them. They have people to support them, but they still end up hooked on smack and setting chicks on fire in the subway in New York. I mean, you are the sum of your experiences, how you handle it, the people around you. I was fortunate enough to have a lot of people around me that were both smart and stupid. I was smart enough on my own to learn some lessons from other people, as well as lessons from all the dumb shit that I did on my own. So, I mean, only one real regret that's deeply personal one I don't go into publicly, but I mean, for the most part, I'm here today. I'm a father. I'm a good man to Jennifer, I think, and I'm glad I have her, and I have close friends and family around me, and I'm in a good spot right now. I would rather be in California in a good spot because the weather's nicer this time of year. But I mean, if that's my biggest gripe in the world, is that I gotta live in a place where it gets a little cold during the winter, then I don't think I'm doing as bad as some other people. You know what I mean?
I hear you. And being on the West Coast, especially the Southwest coast of Canada, yeah, the weather is pretty good here. And hello to our good friend, Freaky, otherwise known as Freak Nasty Bumsex. Who is Frank, you ask? He is the Mexican garbage man.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, I take out the trash for the Canadians.
Stuart, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Thanks for subscribing, and all the best to you, good sir.
I'll catch you later, Stuart, my man.
Is it just me, because I'm on a laptop, not an actual desktop computer? People in the chat, let me know if Frank is glitching out really bad for you too, or if it's just for me. I have no idea. I don't have anything plugged into my laptop like a phone. We found that out on one of the live streams. I think it was last year. Nick had his phone plugged in and he was glitching pretty badly. It's all good on my phone. Okay. Maybe it is just me. I can deal with it. I get the gist of what Frank has been saying the whole time he's been glitching. So not his fault. It's just one of those things. Good. As long as the show is running smoothly, as smooth as it usually does here. There was one thing that I saw today, someone shared on social media with regards to time, and it's less the poem that I'm about to share and more about the visual representation, the graph. This is about time that we have with people. When you look below, years we think we have with people and the number of times we'll actually be with them. I'm finding as time goes on, yes, it's becoming those thin lines on the bottom as opposed to what it used to be before I moved out of my hometown here on the top. This is very, very important visually to recognize that even on a day-to-day basis, the amount of time we spend with people, for me, it's minutes a day, if that, maybe a few minutes every few days or weeks with some people. So as I get older and I realize that time is not exactly passing faster because I live and experience every day, but looking back on the days and months and years that have already passed, it seems to me that it's passing faster because I don't remember every single thing that happened every day. And I don't know that I'd want to.
I kind of like to have the Sheldon Cooper memory where I can remember everything. I'm sure there were things that happened when I was 3 or 4 years old that were really cool memories. That would be really cool memories to have that because I was 3 or 4 years old, they just get pushed out by the other lifetime full of other stuff. But I don't know. I guess that's why we have pictures to capture those moments that we know are significant, but not necessarily important. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. There was another one that I'm going to share the moment I can find it.
It's interesting you pull up that line thing, though, because when my dad passed away, I had this quote from Glee of all TV shows into my head where the one kid had died from the drug overdose, the one actor. They were on the show dealing with it. And they were talking about the line between the life dates, like born this date, died this date. And he was talking about that line. That line represents a person's life. And it's like, here they were born, here they died, and in between there was all the experiences. And I was like, A, you never thought that a show like Glee would give you anything really insightful to help you deal with moments. but B, I was like, that is kind of an interesting way to look at it. And when my youngest son was kind of dealing with my dad passing away, he was trying to, at an intellectual level, I think one day, trying to grab a hold of what he was feeling. And I kind of hit him with that. I was like, here was the end of his life. Here was the beginning of his life. And along, this is the spot where he, joined the military. Here was the spot where he married your grandma. Here was the spot where I was born. Here was the spot where you was born. I was like, this line, it's representative of all of his experiences. I was like, so if you think about that line and his experiences, you try to go to where he was in his head, where he was in his life. Maybe that'll help you kind of understand where, who he was and where he was at the end. And, because they actually have my dad on his old Army picture from when he was 19 on a military memorial here in the town that we live in, because he worked for the city forever. He knew a bunch of people with the city. So when he passed away, someone reached out to us today. Do you have an old picture of him in the military? Because they made this big monument thing, all different branches of the military. And since he was in the Army, they wanted to put him on the Army side along with some other local people who had served. And so every now and again, I'll take my kids to see it and stuff like that. That's why I told him, I was like, that line. Think about where you're at in that line. Part of that's your life where it started, and your line's gonna go past that. So your line is a continuance of his line. That's how you look at it. So that way he's not really gone. You're taking it forward for him. That's just his section.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, who'd have thought that a TV show like Glee would give you something insightful? Of course, they weren't trying. I'm sure somebody in a writer's room was just like, "Oh yeah, that sounds good. Let's write it in there."
And if I remember correctly, the name of the actor who died was Corey Monteith, and he was Canadian. He died here in Vancouver in 2009 or 10. Yeah, I never watched Glee.
Everybody says that show is cursed, but I don't think it's really cursed. I just think that sometimes shit happens to people.
There's a wise song. That's where I stopped reading. No.
That's actually the only song of theirs that I like anymore.
They had some really good songs, bangers you might call them, on their first and second albums. Leader of Men is a really good song by Nickelback. Really, really, really good song. That's probably their number one hit single before something like Photograph came along. Nick would probably list off 4 or 5 songs by Nickelback that are really good. So that'll be homework for next week's show for him. When it comes to good times and pictures, like you were saying, I saw this on social media recently. A jar. Add a note with a good thing that happened each week. And on New Year's Eve, open it and read about the amazing year you had. This is, again, visually a good idea. So, because you can't remember everything, go with a note. I like that idea.
I've been journaling a little bit lately.
Oh.
Not as much as I probably should. I mean, I was trying to do it like every couple of days, but most of the time my life is pretty boring, so there's not really much to write about. And I obviously can't write about all the bodies that I hide for you guys up north, but I mean, I don't want to implicate myself in anything later on. But yeah, like I said, after my dad had passed away, I was like, maybe if I had something like this for my kids, because I'm not going to live forever, as hard as I might try. But maybe if I had something like this, maybe they can see like where I was, like when COVID was happening, what were my thoughts, what was going through my head as this was happening, as that was happening. What are some of my thoughts about it all? So that way they can understand me when I'm gone. Maybe help them stay connected. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. You can't really gauge a person's character by looking at a bunch of photographs. My dad did some colorized photos of his dad and his friends from back in the 1930s. My memory of him, because he died when I was young, is almost non-existent. So yes, having words, but in this day and age, video really helps.
I figure that with all the crap that I'm putting on YouTube, they're probably going to get a pretty good. They're going to have plenty of video. If I were to kick off tomorrow, they would have plenty of YouTube crap to go back and look at between this channel, my channel, Derailed. There's plenty of my ignorance on YouTube for me to for them to. Yeah, but they won a Super Bowl. Like we last won in '93. You guys won in '94. So you guys won like a year after we won our last one. So it's like saying that you lost by 21 points. We only lost by 20. We're better than you. Blah.
So we're going to take a break from the intellectual verbal diarrhea that we've been spewing for the last hour and 10 minutes, so we can engage more thoroughly with people like Tex who like watching videos. And we're going to go into what I like to call, and everyone mind your volumes, the last year's worth. No, not a compilation of everything that happened in the year, but the last Stupid People segment of this year. So if your hearing is getting particularly terrible, Dad, Frank, then mind your volume right about now. Yep. We finally get to turn our brains off. So this is one that Frank sent me. This is what you might call a fail compilation. Yes. It's only about 48 seconds long, but you get your fill.
Now I mean...
Good boys.
That last one is an absolute classic. I can remember seeing at least 5 reaction videos to that person falling off that table.
Yeah, that's what's great about the internet.
And see, exercising your brain, not only writing is great for exercising your brain to be able to get out your thoughts, but in cursive as well. That is something. I remember the last time I used cursive was in elementary school. It couldn't have been more than grade 6. Yeah.
My girlfriend says I have better handwriting than she does. I think she's on crack. I have never had very good handwriting. My dad used to bitch about my handwriting all the time. My dad had good handwriting. My mom has good handwriting. I did not get that. I did not get that quality from either one of them.
Man, Tex, if only I had the time, I would. And if I had that time, I'd have all those clips up to today. And then, because they'd be taking up so much space on my computer, I would hope every day that you died tomorrow so that I could post that.
Well, you know, we had TSS used to collect clips for Drew over in Derailed. So maybe if I reached out to TSS, I was like, hey, buddy, find a couple of great zingers, like, you know, one a week or something like that. Just build it up over a year.
TSS, that's a name I remember seeing in the comment section of Derailed. He comes to your channel every once in a while, yeah?
Occasionally, yeah. We actually play fantasy football together as well. So he's in my fantasy football league. So I still talk to him pretty regularly.
Excellent. Are there many people from the Derail community that you're still in contact with?
Yeah, actually, J-Man came up here last summer, actually just after my dad died, because we had been planning for months. He was gonna kind of hang it. He was driving through, and he was in Springfield where they were eating the dogs, eating the cats. He was gonna stop at a truck stop there, and we drove a couple hours north to go to Canton to go to the Football Hall of Fame. So we spent a Saturday up there, and he's popped through a couple of times. I've hung out with him. I still text with Drew pretty regularly. I talk, back and forth with Casey all the time. Obviously, Tex. I still talk to Cora regularly. I've been talking to Alex Payne lately. Alex Payne's actually going to be on with me tomorrow night when we do the New Year's Eve hangout. Alex Payne's going to come hang out for a bit. So yeah, I mean, there's pretty steady communication going on between me and everybody else. Still, I don't know what everybody else is doing, but I know that I still talk pretty regularly to a lot of these people.
Nice. Great. Well, this next one, I took last week off from both my job and the gym, and today was my first day back at the gym. I'm not feeling any soreness yet, but tomorrow might be a different story. Now, with regards to that, here are some new exercises that no one should ever attempt in the gym. Why? Again, some of these I think were done because, it's going to be on the internet and we'll get lots of clicks and lots of views and maybe some ad revenue and someone will buy a t-shirt and we'll make money.
Yeah, partner Diddy supersets. I was thinking that looked like something out of a Asian softcore porn.
Hey, Jolene, again, someone from the past who we haven't seen in a while. That was the last Jolene that we haven't seen in a while from the shout outs at the end of last week's show. Hope you're doing well, Jolene. Hope you had a great Christmas and you had a good time with your family, and all the best for the new year. Thank you so much for stopping by. Miss you a lot. Gee. You're on the internet. You got to use the clarified butter term so we get flagged.
Yeah, remember, he's in Canada. He can actually go to prison for that kind of thing.
Yeah, hate speech is not part of free speech up here. Yeah, Christmas for me this year was very quiet, but it was great because I spent time with the girlfriend and her family, gave her a gift card, and that's all I really needed to do. So I fulfilled my holiday obligation. It's great as you get older to just pare stuff down and be simple. Thank you, Jolene. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, this Christmas was a little more normal. Last Christmas was the first one after my dad had passed, so it was kind of not awkward, but I mean, it was still hanging. It was still in the air, you know what I mean? But this Christmas seemed a lot more normal.
As long as I make the public comment that our prime minister has fabulous hair, I'm pretty sure I'll get off with just a light warning. And Tex, you had mentioned earlier, if I can find it, tell your Bilderberg overlords to get you better equipment. I submitted that request 3 months ago, but because of my lack of seniority, I am still at the bottom of the pile, and it will be at the very least next year until something better comes in. So until then, we wait. And to catch up from, not to ignore Casey, but Casey had said quite some time ago what the Deadpool picks are for the upcoming year. Well, who's relatively old that we could pick on, I wonder?
I was just thinking that Clint Eastwood's not getting any younger.
I'm not going to say Mike Tyson, not yet.
Nah.
Just something out of left field.
I tell you what, I don't want anybody to die, of course, but I was listening to Biden give his speech yesterday on the passing of President Carter, and I was just like, God, this guy's limping across the finish line. It's like because he was saying stuff that presidents say. I mean, the speech was kind of average, but I was like, man, he's struggling. They stopped giving him whatever cocaine they were giving him to get him through the debates, and they're just like, we're going to wean him off it, so that way on the 20th he can just fly off into the sunset. Yeah, I'm not sure how much longer that guy's got.
Yeah, exactly. You take away a really stressful job like being the president of the United States, and he's probably going to shut down in the first few months of 2025, I would think. Nope. Trump's going to be he's going to be firing on all cylinders for the next 4 years, I think.
Yeah, that guy is. Look, I'm not saying I agree with him on everything, but he's built different. I mean, some guys they're put together differently. They because like everybody's saying, oh well, Biden's old, but yeah, so is Trump. I was like, I don't know. I mean, I know some guys that are in their 80s and 90s. They're sharp as a whip right now. I mean, they can outthink me on anything. They play chess. They are on it, and maybe not physically what they once were in their younger days, but I mean, Trump, man, his brain's put together the right way. The sad part about guys like that is when they go suddenly. It's like 1 minute they're here and the next minute they're not, and it really is a shock. So it's like a guy like Biden who's been looking old for 20 years now. You can just look at him and feel that he's towards the end. Whereas Trump, you kind of look at him, you go, he's doing pretty well. He's drinking his Diet Coke and eating his McDonald's, and he's doing all right. And then like you wake up one day and like breaking news, Donald Trump has had a heart attack. Coming down that golden escalator, and he's not around anymore. And it's like, damn, that was the one guy you thought might actually live forever.
Yep. But I'm so glad you mentioned McDonald's, because someone found and recorded a video of Tex at a drive-through, and here is that. And here is some copyright-free banjo music. Oh,
tell me you've never driven a big truck before without telling me you've never driven a big truck before. It's like I drive a truck for work, but it's not like a giant truck. I mean, it's like a whatever regular size truck. But there are times where it's like I have to be conscious of like my turn radius and all that, because it's bigger than the car that my girlfriend and I drive normally. So I have to be a little more cautious, like going through the line of McDonald's or backing out of a driveway or going through some narrow residential roads or whatever. So I have to be overly cautious to make sure. But boy, I don't know. That's my explanation, is that person has never really driven a big truck before. But I don't know.
Probably. I think they were trying to. Well, I think that for whatever reason they decided to exit the drive-through and not go through, but they didn't realize that the grass or ground they were driving on sunk down so low, and they would just get away. 74 Chevy. I drove a 5-ton at my job quite often, and being almost 40 feet long, yes, your turn radius, when you're taking a right turn, for example, onto a different street, you're pretty much 3/4 in the street before you start turning. Otherwise, you're going to jump the curb and, knock down a light pole and kill a baby in a stroller or what have you. So, yes, you have to be cognizant of how wide you need to turn the vehicle. And here in Canada, unfortunately, we still have power lines. So not everything is underground, unfortunately. So there was a time or two where I had to drive on the wrong side of the road just so I avoided the low-hanging power lines, because the truck is almost 13 feet tall. And of course, I got the head shake from people coming the opposite direction, but I would rather have them, divert to the other lane rather than me knock down all these lines and cause a bunch of trouble.
You ever see that YouTube channel, the 11-foot 8-inch channel, that bridge?
No.
Let me see if I can find. There is a bridge somewhere that it's very clearly marked that what the clearance is, and for some reason, it's like every other week, some truck kind of does not pay attention. 11-foot 8 bridge crash compilation. I'll send you this video so you can kind of glance at it. They actually have raised this bridge, I think, 6 inches over the last couple of years, and people are still hitting it. I thought I was subscribed to this, but yeah, they call it the can opener bridge.
Okay,
because so many trucks have hit this bridge and it's ripped them open. Let me copy the link and send to Alex. Oh, I got it back to Facebook. Apparently, I can't type anymore. Yeah, there's a whole channel dedicated to this. Dude, talk about going down a rabbit hole. It's one of those things where it'll pop up in my feed or it'll autoplay after I watch something else. And then next thing you know, I've watched this channel for like an hour and a half. Like everything from U-Hauls, like some of them actually make it through and it kind of scrapes the top up, but they still have to stop to look. There's been like RVs that have gone through there and it wipes out, I like to put the air conditioners and stuff on top of RVs. And it completely wipes out the air conditioner, like the luggage rack or something like that. It's hilarious, but yeah, I love watching that channel. It's funny.
Speaking of U-Hauls, this one is called "They Ignored the 7-foot 10-inch sign." Not only did they knock down, that might be water, but they got stuck on the concrete. Yeah, you got to know your height and your width when you're driving a vehicle. Because the amount of damage that is, especially in the United States, you're paying for a long, long time.
Especially U-Haul. You return a U-Haul with even the slightest scratch, and they're like, okay, you know it was $10,000.
Yeah. That's why doing a walk around is extremely important.
I'll put the link to that channel in the chat if anybody wants to go check it out. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But they actually raised the bridge something like 6 inches, and trucks are still just smashing into it.
Yeah, there it is. Excellent. Unfortunately, I can't highlight any of that and share that, but it's there. So if someone wants to take a screenshot of it and then do the 2-finger typing bit by bit to get there. Now, there was one more video that you had shared with me that we will get into before we start to wrap it up tonight. And thank you, everyone, for being here as long as you have. Those who still are here, we've been between 5 and I think 9 people watching over the course of the show, and it is greatly appreciated. Any and all or little time that you want to take, especially you, Frank. Thank you so much for being here.
Always good to be here and hang out with my buddies.
And once again, if you're old, mind your volume, because here comes Karen. Now, I'm pretty sure I know exactly why you shared this one with me. I had found similar videos like this in the past, but I skipped over them because I've seen so many. So I figured that need has been filled by just the multitude of videos like this. But we will share this one, 1 minute and 27 seconds, because being a parent, come on, man.
You didn't even tell me I was doing anything to rectify the situation. Not gonna do Fuck you, bitch. Then you have my face. Somebody give me the number. Who your general manager? Nope. Bitch, like I said, every time I come in here, you fucking yelling at somebody. Bitch, I come here every day for my lunch break. Eat me, bitch.
And before it gets really good, I want to send a special shout out to my cousin Lisa. Thank you so much for being here. This is the first time for her chiming in. Really appreciate it. Hope you had a great Christmas. I hope you have a happy New Year as well. thank you again so much. She's hangry. Oh, it gets better.
You can say that shit walking away. Now, how about that? Fuck all this shit, bitch. Fuck it all. Call. Let's go, baby. Now, pick it up, bitch. Pick it all up. Pick it the fuck up, bitch. I ain't destroyed shit. I'm making it messy in this motherfucker. Call the fucking police. Call them. Call them, ho. Call them. Call them. I hear it.
I forgot one of you.
Fuck you. Fuck us for.
I need a.
Fuck you, bitch.
I need the police right now.
This how you in. This.
Missouri.
Bitch.
Missouri Avenue. Missouri. 900 South Missouri.
All I wanted to do was just order some food. Look what I got to go through.
And I think we'll end that with a...
That's why I don't manage restaurants anymore. Like there were a couple of times I had to physically remove somebody from the restaurant. I was just like, bro, I'll let you yell, I'll let you have your fun, but there are some things that I will not tolerate. And there were a couple of times where I was like, okay, you're leaving. And they were like, I'm not leaving. I'm like, well, let me show you how you're wrong there. And then I reported them to the restaurant. It's just have class, people. I mean, I have friends that are still managing restaurants, and I've been telling them it's like the customer is always right is not a good way to do business anymore. It's an antiquated, old-fashioned way of doing things. It was great up until like the 90s, like early mid-90s. But once the internet became a thing, internet video, and then the first person went viral for doing stuff like this, I was like, it got to a point where, even really before that, people are like, well, I can, because like if you go to a Burger King, let's say, and you ask for no pickles, and they put pickles in your hamburger, it's really, really easy. And Moody just missed another damn kick. My God, I have been supporting this guy forever. I'm done with Moody now. But it's like if you get a burger, if you get pickles in your burgers, you go up there and say, I asked for this with no pickle. They'll say, okay, I'll remake that before you get it done. Give me like 2 minutes. And that's it. That's no problem. They give you the other burger. You're like, okay, thank you for taking care of this for me. Instead, it's like people go up there. It's like, because when I was working at a burger place years ago, somebody did the exact thing to me. They came up with a problem with their burger. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll make it for you. And she snotty the moment she walked up there. She was like, how hard is it to make a fucking hamburger? And I was like, okay, here we go. So I turned around and looked at her and I was like, do you want to come back here and try it? I was like, because let me explain this to you. I was like, when you make burgers for your husband and your 2 spoiled ass kids at home, you have to make 4, maybe 6 hamburgers. You have all fucking night to do it. I said, I had 200 hamburgers that went out before yours, and I've got about 150 or 200 more to go out before I get to lock the doors of this place tonight. I was just like, and I have to do it all in like a minute. I was like, so it's not as easy as it sounds when you got to make 300 or 400 a day, and you have to put everything on in a certain order, in a certain way. You got to put a certain mustard on in just the right way, or else some inspector comes through and tells me I'm doing it wrong and dings me on some kind of a report. So I threw an apron at her. I was like, if you want to come try it, come back here. I said, I'll put you on the clock. You'll get paid. I was like, I'm not going to make you work for free. Come back here. She turned and left. I was like, bye. I was perfectly willing to remake that burger myself, hand it to her and say, I'm sorry for the mix-up, ma'am. Have a good day. Perfectly fine to let it be that kind of an interaction. But no, she had to be a bitch about it. I was like, well, okay. The customer is not always right. I used to work for a guy that said the customer is not always right. It's just our job to make them think they are. I looked at him one day in a meeting. I was like, that's why we're having problems. I was like, we have to train customers the way that we train employees. We have to let them know that there is behavior and activities that are acceptable and stuff that isn't. So what's acceptable is you come up and say, hey, my food was made wrong. Can I get it remade? Sure, no problem. Okay, good. All done. Everybody's happy at the end. You got the right food you wanted. I've made the customer happy, which is my ultimate job. That's fine. But when you blow it up into something else because some assholes with a phone, like, or you just want to act like an asshole because you think it's going to be fun to act like an asshole, or you want to get some free food, whatever. We live in the internet age. I can find your address. Most people pay with credit cards. It's not that hard for me to press a couple of buttons and find out exactly what address that credit card statement goes to. I mean, that's the world we live in. Not that I would ever do anything like that because it just causes too much heat. But it's like there are people out there that will eventually, like the guy we were talking about earlier, who just gets frustrated with the way people behave. There are people out there who will just get frustrated with the way people behave and they will snap. So, yeah, keep acting like an asshole. Go ahead.
Yep. Like Nick has said at the end of many a show, pardon me, be patient with people. People are doing what they can. Yeah, people are going to make mistakes at their job. That does not mean they should be crucified in any way, shape, or form unless they're doing it on purpose over and over and over again. But that's a different issue. Someone misses a pickle or adds an extra tomato, we can live with that. That is why, ever since I saw the great movie, and you have mentioned this on your show more than once, Waiting from 2005, because of that saying, don't fuck with the people who make your food, I don't say a goddamn thing if anything goes wrong with my order. I take it, and that's
be nice. Be nice about it, because there have been times, me and Jennifer went out for dinner recently, and like there was something wrong with something. I was like, just tell the waitress, she's a nice enough girl, just give her a chance to do it right. And she was like really, really like, sheepish about it. And I was like, so when she came back, I was like, yeah, actually, she's had something with her steak. Can you take care of that? Like, it was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Like 10 minutes later, came back out with a fresh steak. It was fine. I was just like, just be nice. And then when they fix it, say, thank you for taking care of this for me. Still tip the girl. I mean, it's like, look, give them a chance to give good service. If you walk up there and you're like, how hard is it to make a fucking whatever? It's like, well, you want to see? I mean, again, YouTube in all its glory. There's all kinds of videos now about how to make the McRib at McDonald's that have been popping up my feed for some reason. Point of view, doing whatever to Taco Bell. It's like, yeah, it looks really easy just making the one thing, but you got to remember they're doing this 500 times a day with huge constraints. It's like people breathing down their neck for various reasons, customers and coworkers. It's like it's not conducive to keep maintaining your sanity. There's look, the two jobs where the highest incidence of alcoholism: bankers and restaurant managers. I can attest to both because my ex-girlfriend's mom was in the banking industry forever. I can't tell you how many times we went out and got plastered with her coworkers. Those people drink. But it's like the restaurant managers. And whenever we'd have like a company Christmas party, like this place I just worked for years ago, that guy would always spring for the open bar. He found some nice club in this nice neighborhood that he lived in. Open bar, fish, steak, whatever. He really threw the money in for this one. And dude, we'd tear up that open bar and we would just pour ourselves into cabs afterwards. Dude, it was bad. We would just drink a lot. But I mean, we're working 60, 70 hours a week till 2, 3 in the morning. And then getting up early and doing restaurant administrative stuff before we get our asses kicked at night. It's like, yeah, it's a hard job. So yeah, cut somebody some slack, will you?
Yeah. And Tex, I kept this comment up because the founder, nice reference, but it had no boobs, no blood, no violence. How do you know about that movie, Tex? You don't watch movies like that. Yeah, when they had that McDonald's blocked off, they vetted and interviewed everyone who was in the back. They did the same thing with people going through the drive-through. It's not like he just walked in there and they put him in the apron. No, everything was let's say stage managed to a degree.
I really do wish they had Secret Service vetting everybody that went through the drive-thru at McDonald's at every McDonald's. I would gladly increase my taxes to see that happen because the service there would get so much better. It doesn't even need to be Trump handing me my McDouble or whatever the hell it is. It doesn't even need to be Trump handing me my food. As long as the service is better, that's great.
See, Dad, I heard that years ago, but I don't know if that's still true. And this is completely anecdotal. I have not done any research on this whatsoever. The dentists that I have dealt with and met and been acquainted with over the years, they're all pretty, mellow and decent people. So I don't see them committing suicide anytime soon. But then again, because of Robin Williams, you always have to wonder. It could happen. And you don't know. Just like Trump could drop dead any day, dentists could commit suicide just out of nowhere any day. You have no idea.
Highest divorce rates. Let me see this real quick. Industries with the highest divorce rates. Let's see. Gaming managers at 52.9, bartenders at 52.7, flight attendants at 50, gaming service workers. It's a whole lot of gambling involved in this right now. Since that's a relatively new industry, it's interesting that they're jumping to the forefront so fast. Because I mean, I know gambling's been legal in Vegas for centuries, but it's like in other states have just legalized gambling really in the last like 10 years. So the fact that they've already hit that, like gaming managers and gaming service workers are already in the top 5. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Red Dawn, avenge me!
Avenge me!
That's great.
We'll be reviewing that next month or February. No, I pushed that back to February so we could finish the Die Hard movies.
Oh, nice. Well, we're going to go out on a high note, with regards to the Karen videos anyway, because we are going to... We're going to the Comedy Store, not the Comedy Store, but we're going to the realm of stand-up comedy.
Husband? My white husband. Oh, you have to tell me that. I can see. What? Yeah, my eyes are open. Alright, they're small, but I know. Oh, are you really upset now? Okay. Oh, so I'm like 30, right? I don't get why, like, oh my god, dude, it's fine, just get over it. Yeah, let's do it together. Alright, let's tie this around our necks together. Alright, dude, whatever, dude. How long have you guys been married? How long have you guys been married? No, I'm asking the guy. 2 years? Has it been good? Good. I look good, happy for you.
Why aren't you taking this as an opportunity to work on crowd work? Like, I'm someone different, so like, why don't you like care about it?
No, let her talk. Let's see how long she can go. Here, I'll give you the mic. guys, 好慘啊我。都講中文喎。識唔識聽中文啊？哦，耶！
You can't work on crowd work with somebody in the crowd's being an ass. Maybe if you would shut your yapper, you'd be able to do a little bit of crowd work. Obviously, the kid's not very experienced in stand-up. Not that I would be any better. But, I mean, seriously, come on. I actually, a guy I used to work with years ago, he moved to Chicago to try to commit himself to stand-up. He was a comedian. I saw him do a couple of sets locally over the years. And, yeah, he's talked about like how to deal with the crowds and stuff like that. He's like, one of the last things you want is to let somebody in the crowd take over your set. He's like, at that point, he's like, for one, my set is blown. I can't be funny anymore. I'm not in the right mindset. The crowd's not into me anymore. He's like, so I'll just look at like whatever his manager is or whoever, and just be like, get them out of here, throw them out. I'm not saying a word till they leave. And once they leave, it sets the tone. You're like, I'm not fucking with the crowd. Nope. You wonder why some people get their asses kicked by comedians.
Yeah, and or the opposite, because up until about 2007 or so, I had no idea that there were people who would go to a comedy show. They would get so mad at what the comedian was saying, they would jump up on the stage and attack and assault the comedian. I had no idea that was a thing. And then I saw it, and I saw it again and again and again, and I don't understand.
Well, you had that one guy try to attack Chappelle, I think, at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've had other instances of people, like smaller comedy clubs, people, they'll say something to rile up the comedian, and the comedian will burn them somehow, which you got to expect the comedian to kind of dog you a bit if you're going to try to break up his set. So, and then he's like, oh, now I feel insulted. It's like, well, you should have kept your damn mouth shut. I mean, because comedians make fun of people for a living. If you poke him and he makes fun of you, you're asking for it. I mean, don't be part of the show. You ever watch Sam Kinnison's old stand-up?
Oh, yes.
There, I forget what set he was doing. It's on YouTube somewhere, where it's like he's doing his set, and some guy in the crowd says something, and Sam Kinison lets this guy fucking have it. And he stays in Sam Kinison comedy character, and just rips on this guy for like a solid 2 or 3 minutes, talking about how like his mom gargles his semen and blah blah blah. And great Sam Kinison style jokes for those of you who are not aware of the kind of comedy that Sam Kinison did. But when he got done just like tearing this guy up for a minute, he looks and goes, "You still want to help out, Mr. Helper?" The guy didn't say anything the rest of the set. I was like, yeah, let somebody like, you know, talk up on somebody like Sam Kinison, let him tear somebody's ass up. I think Iglesias, Fluffy, I think he's talked about it in a couple of sets too. Like some guy who ended up kind of like talking to him. He was doing a show somewhere, and some guy ended up like in the crowd, ended up like making kind of a big stink or whatever, and he was kind of annoyed by it or whatever. But then the guy showed up to another show the next time he came through town, and like walked to the stage and brought him a basket of like tacos and shit like that. He goes, "Okay, now that guy's okay." He's like, "Now I'm okay with that."
And rest in peace to Sam Kinison. Apparently, at that time that he was killed, he was turning himself around, and he was probably going to come back maybe better than ever. But it's just sad that we lose someone so talented like that. And same with Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks was great, and he died at the age of, I think it was 32, gone way too soon. But if we didn't get Bill in his really philosophical stage, which he turned to after he got the diagnosis, that to me was some of the best of Bill Hicks, because when he was doing his Sane Man stand-up and then Revelations after that was some really good comedy. But when it comes to stuff like Rant in E Minor and Arizona Bay, that is some great introspective stand-up comedy. So anyone who wants some good stand-up comedy from the early 90s, Sam Kinison, Bill Hicks, and George Carlin, rest in peace to him. He was on fire in the 90s, anywhere from up between 1992, probably up to 99, because 1996's Back in Town album, that is, to steal your word, a banger of a stand-up album.
Yeah, Bill Hicks. I mean, towards the end, it's like he knew he didn't have much left, so he knew he didn't have much time left. So he's like, "I'm just putting it all out there. Every bit of my comedic talent, I've got to put it out there now while I can." And he did some stuff that was Richard Pryor level great. I mean, it puts him up there in the echelon of some of the best stand-up stuff that's ever been done. So fantastic. Dice is still good. He still does some sets here and there. He shows up on Rogan every now and again. He's actually really cool to listen to him talk. But yeah, Dice is still good stuff. And his comedy has aged well too. For as like edgy and hardcore as it felt like it was in the 80s, people being so aghast when he was doing like the whole, you know, Little Miss Muffet, what's in the bowl, bitch. It's like when people were so taken aback by that, even that stand-up has aged very well. It's still so funny. And it's the same with Kinison. I can listen to the same bit over and over again and still laugh my ass off at it.
Yeah, and Nick and I on our show, we will offhandedly reference Andrew Dice Clay when we go, "Oh!" So yeah, it lives at least in some way, shape, or form. Rodney Carrington, that's a name I haven't seen in a while.
Didn't he? I thought he retired or something like that.
I think so. A lot of his stuff I found when I was in college in 2001 and 2002. Yeah, I would think he's out of the game at this point.
I wonder, what's he doing now? It's got him listed as an American actor. He's 56. He's still young.
Oh, never mind.
I mean, it doesn't say he's doing much these days, but
well, I think for the hour and 49 that we've been on,
2009. So 2009 is the last thing that he's got a credit for.
Wow. Maybe he said what he had to say. He made his money and he got out. Maybe.
He's got a listing on StubHub. No, he's going to be in Beaumont, Texas on the 17th of January, Tex. Go get some tickets. He's going to be in Austin on the 18th, but you won't go anywhere near Austin. West Virginia, so on. Biloxi. I wonder if he's going to be near here. I'd go see him. Kansas City, Denver, Kentucky. I'm not going to Kentucky for anything if I don't have to. Let's see. No, closest he's coming is Ashland, Kentucky. That's the closest he's going to be. He's still touring, so hey, good on him.
Thanks for being here, Dad. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a great new year. I know tomorrow is just another day for you, but
good night, Mr. Barman. So you're closer to Beaumont. Okay.
I think that's a good way to end tonight's show is because of the passage of time, and as you get older, time goes faster. Live, laugh, love. I think that was one of the late great Bill Hicks's compilation album names. No, it was Love, Laughter, Truth. And it's so important in this day and age. Drink, because I keep saying in this day and age, maybe save that for tomorrow night, to live, laugh, and love, because we're not going to be here for a long time. So as the song says, good time, not a long time. And we appreciate everyone who is here, be it for the moment or the duration, including my cousin Lisa, Jolene, the one who we haven't seen in a while, the garbage man himself, Dr. Nick the Ninja, Trish, Dad, Corey, Nick's mom, Stuart McQuaid, thank you so much, Ginger, Tex, and I didn't say this at the beginning, but Tex, we're so glad you could take time out of your busy day feeding Santa's elves into your wood chipper to make reindeer chow to be here with us tonight. And as always, Casey, and I apologize that I did not play either of your intros, but perhaps in the new year I will be faster on that draw. And people who we haven't seen in a while and we hope are doing well, and we hope have a very safe and good new year. Overseer, Beverly, Brody, Shlomo, Really, Lady Cora, Junior, Van, coos to him, Wild Bill, Gordon, Penny, Jen, Tamara, Amanda, my friends Sarah and Teresa, our friends Matt, James, Jared, Sheena, and Dewey, both Trevors, both Cindy's, Nathan, Nick's mom, my Auntie Kathy, and shout outs to Gareth, Susan, Ravi, and Ashley. I don't do New Year's resolutions, but if I did, it would be to mention Gloria Pouchfonte's quiche-smelling uterus less at the end of the show. And Frank, a great big Canadian, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you filling in for the garbage man, and I hope we can do this at least a few more times in the future, because it's been great and it's been fun. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure to talk to you guys, whether it be about movies, life, anything going on in this crazy world. Everybody in the chat tonight, love you guys. You guys are awesome. Here's to a new year.
Yep. Cheers to 2025. And hopefully it's not going to be like the end of 2019 where people say 2020 is going to be the best year ever. And it wasn't.
And it really wasn't.
Thank you so much. Happy New Year to Trish and to everyone else. Nick and I shall return next Monday, January 6th, 2025, unless the garbage man does something stupid like fall out of bed and breaks his entire body, or yet worse, dies. In that case, it'll be the Alex and Frank show. No, I'm kidding. Well, everyone take care, be safe, have fun, think before you say something, think before you do something, have patience, love one another, do stuff with your life, and try and leave the world a better place than you found it. If not better, then, well, maybe the same. Any final parting words for the good people, Mr. Frank?
Rest in peace to Linda Lavin, who passed away yesterday. Very sad. A great Broadway actress, an amazing singing voice. I remember her mostly, of course, from one of the last great shows of the golden age of television, from the TV show Alice, based on the fantastic movie. One of the shows that I watched endlessly when I was a kid. My family all watched it. a fantastic, like Jimmy Carter, someone who worked a great deal with charity in her later years, stayed active up until her passing. She's still got a couple of credits out there that have yet to be released. So go find Alice somewhere. It's not streaming anywhere, unfortunately. I looked because I wanted to watch a couple episodes in her memory. But I mean, go check out her great work. Again, an amazing singing voice, a wonderful person who did a lot of work for charity. Honor her life today. Go watch some of her works. Enjoy her for just a moment, and do that. Do that for her. She was a great person, I think.
Excellent. Thank you so much, and take care, and Happy New Year.
At a partridge in a pear tree, 5 gold blue. Come on, loosen up, Judas.
If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it.